What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Queer Collective podcast. My name is Karbon.
And I'm Emily. And this week on the pod, it's in our name, so you know we had to talk about it, baby. We are exploring the term queer.
Are we really?
Yes, baby. I personally love the word queer because it is an umbrella, and I think it is so hyper inclusive. It represents, in my mind, everyone. It also gives you the opportunity to not put yourself in such a close box. Like, you don't have to know exactly how you identify. You can just be whoever the heck you want. It can change and it's fluid, and you're queer.
I like that.
That's why I like it.
Yeah.
But recently...
Oh
no. So recently I was at the dentist, and I've been seeing this dentist since I was like 7. I hadn't seen him in a while because I was going to someone else because I lived somewhere else. But yeah.
Now you're back.
But I'm back. Fiercer than ever. Cleaner teeth than ever. And he asked me, like, what's new in your life? What are you doing? So I told him about Queer Collective. And he was like, I have a bit of an issue with the word queer.
Ooh, what's his issue?
And I was like, oh, really? Do you? A straight cisgendered man. And I was like, okay, what's your qualm?
What are your qualms? State your qualms, sir.
He was like, well, the term means abnormal, weird. Why would you want to identify something that has a negative connotation? And I was like, oh. Well, the point is that we don't want to adhere to society's standards, society's like norms. You know what I mean? I don't want to be seen as normal in society's perspective because I don't like what's normal.
Oh, I see.
I want to be weird.
So you want to be weird and abnormal.
It's like an act of rebelling against the system that bestowed this name upon us.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
If you do the abnormal so much and enough people start to adopt it because they don't like the previous normal, does that then become normal?
I think it takes a very long time for that to happen, but that is why language evolves. But I don't think we're to the point yet where queer people are seen as a norm. Like, there's a reason that the word heteronormative exists.
Right.
It ain't homonormative.
Nah, but soon times. Soon times.
Soon times.
Okay, so go into the history of the term queer. Can you take us a little bit through the times and explain to us what it originally meant, what it means now, and how, if at all, it has evolved through the times?
I would love to. Let's get into it.
Thank God.
So I have a whole like grade school style timeline drawn out in front of me, and I'm about to give you all of the information you need.
Please.
I frequently take you to Emily's sociology class, so welcome in. I'll put on my goggles again.
What's with the shaking of the titties?
I don't know. I just feel like the shirt requires me to shake my bobs.
Okay, fair enough.
So as you stated, the word queer has been used since the 1500s to describe something that is abnormal or strange. It wasn't really changed. Nothing much happened until the 1800s. This was about 300 years later from when this word was introduced into the English language that it started to become associated with homosexuality. So what happened was a nobleman, a homophobic nobleman, Mr.
How noble?
Not too noble. He was kind of a homophobe. So Mr. John Sholto Douglas, the 9th Marquis of Queensberry.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is a marquise?
I have no clue. That's one thing I didn't Google.
I see. Some sort of an important title
I think he deals
of
with
the back
keys.
thens.
Yeah, he deals with keys. I don't know, man.
Like when somebody says Lord Chancellor, I'm like, that sounds fancy.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let's put that in my job title. I'm the Lord Chancellor of Queer Collective.
Oh, yes, and I am the Lord Marquis
Founder and Lord Marquis
of Queer Collective. Oh, yes, that will do it.
So this gentleman was one of the first people to notedly use the word queer as a homophobic slur. And he did this in a letter in 1894. So there was probably a use of this potentially before that. It just wasn't documented. But one thing I found funny was just that it says like he just wrote this in a letter. I'm like, who was this letter to?
Yes. And why did everyone read it?
Like, why do we, what?
What do you mean he wrote, like, was it a private letter? Was he writing an article?
Maybe it's like a letter to the editor. I don't know. But the funny thing I was thinking when I read this, I was like, imagine if our texts were in the future used as like evidence of how something caught on.
The letter.
This tweet started this. That is kind of how it's
I mean, it is what happens.
Right?
So.
Like this tweet started the slang, because that is honestly how it goes, but I can find it kind of funny. I guess letters were the old form of tweets, so it makes sense. So after this letter, and potentially some other uses of it, this word, queer, took on a whole new meaning and became a deeply offensive slur towards homosexuals. But then, and this is my favorite part of the evolution in the story and why I personally love the term queer. So fast forwarding to the 1980s to 1990s, the term queer became somewhat of a rallying cry. It was basically reclaimed by the queer community and used in protests. Activists used it as the chant, "We're here, we're queer, get used to it, baby." You like that?
So it was like taking the name back.
Oh, yeah.
In an act of rebellion.
Oh, yeah. And I'm here for it.
Reclaiming the status. I like that. And you know what? I actually had an encounter at work. Back at my old job where I used to work at the manual therapy clinic, I was telling my coworkers about the project and Queer Collective and, you know, back in the days when it wasn't even this and this studio space. So I was telling them about Queer Collective, and one of them was confused. He was like, well, honestly, I thought queer, the term queer, was a bad thing. I thought that was like offensive to the LGBT community. So that was an opportunity, and I didn't know then as much as I know now. So I wish I could like go back in time and like properly give a good explanation and response. But it was interesting that, people associate that as like a bad thing. And I think it's cool how we're like reclaiming that word and being like, yes, we're queer and we're here. And get used to it.
No, I love it as well. And that's why, honestly, I find language very interesting. And I'd really like to keep doing more podcasts on language and kind of like queer slang, because there's such a rich history in queer language. Because being queer was criminalized so heavily, LGBTQ people had to create so many slang words and like hidden innuendos of like things that you would wear to show other queer people that you're also gay and
like
maybe
words.
Interested.
Ooh.
So you could live your secret double life.
I want to know more about the word gay as well. You know how in, for example, really old Christmas movies, you have the word gay being used like for children's movies, like you know that Christmas song where it's like, we'll have a gay old time. I think that's the Flintstones maybe, but it's like, we'll have a gay old time. It used to be like happy, like joyful, cheerful. And it's interesting how it's changed drastically to what it is now.
I would love to do a podcast on that. Comment down below if you're interested in hearing a podcast on the history of the term gay.
Comment if you want to see that next.
Because I'll do it. If you want it, I'll do it. So at this point, still around like 80s to 90s, the world of academia.
Ooh, academia.
Where all of the smart
people, yes.
Exactly.
I know them well.
So they actually started to embrace the term queer once again for its original meaning, that being not normal. But this time it was actually in a positive way. Instead of the idea of being not normal being a bad thing, the idea of being normal is what's bad.
Ooh,
so like being queer is good.
Nice.
I love it. Nice.
I love it. Great. I can get into that. I follow along.
So as sociologists and like other academics began talking about heteronormativity, the term queer was the obvious antonym to that. So if you don't know what heteronormativity is, because I've already used this word, it basically refers to being heterosexual, that being what is the normal sexual orientation in society. So that is what's assumed. And that's why queer people have to come out, because being homosexual isn't what's normal.
Exactly. Yeah.
So basically this reinvention of the word, which is what academics did through their papers and things that would be published, this reinvention made the term queer radically inclusive. which is something I love. I love the word radical and inclusive
I
together.
I feel like the word radical is pretty bold and badass.
I love it. Yeah.
It's just like kind of bursting through a door. That's like the visual that I get when I hear the word radical. It's like poof, radical.
Yeah, that's a good marketing branding word, eh?
Yeah.
Let's create some synergy. Let's get radical.
Let's get radical.
Come on, Jim from HR. Everyone get back to the office and let's get radical. I'm not coming back into the office. Absolutely not. I'll never step foot in there again. So basically this reinvention started to describe a non-heteronormative worldview, and it also describes a wide array of queer identities, making this an umbrella term.
An umbrella term for the rainbows.
Yeah, for all us Skittles.
For the Skittles.
Yeah, baby.
I love Skittles.
I love me some Skittles.
Oh,
too.
so good.
So what do you feel about the term queer?
I love it. It's great. I love what it originally stands for, honestly. And I love what it stands for now. And I love how it's integrated. And you know what it is that it's not that the word normal is bad or the concept of normal is bad. It's more so just like what it is now.
Or what is considered normal is what's bad.
That's what I mean. Yeah. What is considered normal now at this current time.
Yeah.
And that is shifting though. That's the thing. It's shifting over time, and we can see that. So what's normal shifts over time, and that's what's abnormal also shifts over time. It gets, I don't know, different.
Yeah. And honestly, what I hope for younger generations is that heteronormativity isn't what is the norm in the future. I hope that young queer people don't feel like they have to come out. I hope that society just becomes more inclusive.
Yeah, you think there would be a term like queer normativity?
No, because everyone will
homonormativity.
Everyone will just be welcomed, you know? You can just like show up as whoever you want. There's not going to be, this is like my dream utopia, okay? This is what I'm describing to you right now.
Yeah, tell me.
Is like you never go up to a little kid and you're never like, do you have a boyfriend, to a little girl? You know what I mean?
Right.
Think, do you have a boyfriend? Tell me all the boys you have crushes on. It's like, no. Do you have a love interest?
Hey, little Susie, do you have a lover?
Do you have a sexy lover, Susie? No.
Ew.
I'm kidding.
No.
No, but like, do you have a crush?
Do you like anyone at school?
You know, let them shop for things wherever they want. I don't want there to be a boys and a girls section. Like,
yeah. I just love androgynous clothing and like styles. I really chef's kiss. I'm a fan. Yeah. I love to wear it. I love when other people wear it. I think it's super cool. I love looking at someone and being like, are they a hot boy or a hot girl or a hot, like,
me too.
And I'm like, like, you're confusing me, and I love it.
Androgyny is so exciting, and I think it's particularly exciting for bisexual people because you're like,
it's so exciting.
I'm confused and I love it.
Confuse me more
in all the right ways.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm absolutely here for it. I think I used to dress like super feminine, and I thought being feminine was like a huge part of my identity. But then I've started seeing like a few TikTokers that are very like fashionable in showing you how to like express both your femininity and masculinity through your fashion, and I'm really into it, and I'm excited to start dressing more androgynous.
Ooh, are we gonna see some new fits?
Maybe not like as masculine as you go, but I just want to feel a bit more like bow, you know?
I actually experienced that. I like go back and forth between experiencing it in regards to my masculinity versus my femininity.
Yeah.
I feel like I lean into the masculine more, but because I do that, then it makes me like afraid to explore my femininity.
Really?
And then when I do, then I don't know, I experience this cycle of like being afraid of expressing my femininity and then being afraid of expressing my masculinity and going back and forth. It's very strange. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'll let you know how it goes.
Cool. I would love to do a podcast where we talk more about clothing and androgyny in general.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Because I think it's something that like I'm newly exploring, but you've been exploring and kind of like having some trials and tribulations with for a little while.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's quite the roller coaster. It's pretty fun though to like express yourself
experiment, yeah.
and experiment and try it differently.
And to be queer.
Yeah.
It's fun. Try it out.
Try it. Just give it a try.
Screw it. No one wants to be normal. So with that being said, I think my kind of closing thoughts for today is to understand that for older generations, aka my dentist, and for some elder queers as
So
well.
if you're Emily's dentist.
Yeah. The term queer can still be hurtful and can still be offensive. Like if you grew up in a generation where it was used as a slur against you, it can still be something that's sensitive. So I think having that understanding, but knowing that reclaiming words is powerful and it's like a nice positive thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So go reclaim those words.
Heck yeah. Comment down below if you enjoyed this podcast.
And make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe and hit that notification bell because we put out these videos every single week and you do not want to miss them. So with all that being said, you guys, we will see you in the next pod.
Peace. Goodbye.